rapper who has risen to world acclaim with his music and staying relevant for more than a decade. That's later. Now, the Defense Minister, Dominic Nittol, says government feels vindicated by its decision to enter into a military cooperation agreement with the United States of America. Speaking with Gifty Andopia on the Pulse on Joy News channel, Mr. Nittol hinted that government has no intention of abrogating the Ghana-U.S. military agreement after its expiration. It comes on the heels of a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court today, upholding the agreement as legal. In 2018, the Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer of the NDC, Boja Jemfi, sued government, insisting the agreement was not in the interest of the state. He urged the Apex Court to set aside the agreement. A 7-member panel of justices, presided over by Justice Kwesi Yeboah, earlier today, described the case as unmeritorious. But first, we'll bring you details of that ruling shortly. But listen to Joy News editor Rabah Kumsing as he recaps the events leading to the NDC's decision to take the matter up in court.
In March 2018, Defense Minister Dominic Nittol laid before Parliament a document seeking to ratify an agreement to allow for joint military training exercises between the Ghana government and the U.S. Even before that, Joy News had intercepted a copy of the deal, which revealed, among others, that the U.S. troops will pay no taxes for equipment brought into the country and use Ghana's radio spectrum to set up their own communication system free of charge. The deal came under heavy criticism by the minority and some civil society groups, which alleged it included a request by the Americans for the establishment of a military base in Ghana. But Dominic Nittol strongly denied the claim.
I have a written letter from the American government assuring us that the Americans will not have a base and don't intend to have a base in Ghana.
Minority leader Haruna Idrisu argued the document did not have any signatures and could not be executed.
Of the United States, represented by who? And then the government of Ghana, represented by who? And a document must come signed.
So you're telling me that the document that came before the House did not have any signature?
He subsequently led his side to walk out of the proceedings, resulting in a one-sided approval of the document. Enraged by government actions, opposition parties and civil society groups embarked on a massive demonstration in Accra, accusing the Akufo-Addo administration of attempting to sell the country's sovereignty for a mere $20 million.
We don't want a permanent military base in our country. We don't want a permanent military presence. We don't want an agreement signed in perpetuity, as Article 19 of the agreement clearly stipulates.
But President Akufo-Addo, in a national televised address, expressed outrage at the claims, insisting the deal was in the interest of the country.
We were satisfied that the conditions which necessitated the agreement, namely the creeping threat to the peace of the region, had not disappeared. If anything, the threat had increased, and therefore the need had arisen for continuing with our cooperation.
Dissatisfied with government's assurances, the Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer of the NDC, Boja Jemfi, took up the case at the Supreme Court, insisting the agreement was not in the interest of the state.
So that's what happened 2018, leading to this Supreme Court case, which has traveled for more than a year, leading to the verdict that was declared today by the court. Well, plaintiff for the case, Boja Jemfi, described the court's decision as disappointing, indicating his next line of action will be informed after they study the decision and the reasoning that the justices gave.
I believed in my case. I was very positive about it. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court thinks otherwise. And so we can only wait and read the reasoning that motivated their conclusion. You know, they did not give the full judgment. They said that will be published later on. So until we get to know what the thinking of the judges were, it will be difficult to proceed on the mere, pronunciation or pronouncement of the decision. So what I want to say is that I still believe in my case, except that I'm disappointed with the decision made by the Supreme Court. But we need to see what they are thinking, where to come to that conclusion.
Well, we've been hearing from the defense minister today on the back of that verdict. The Dominic Nitiwo says government has no plans of cancelling the agreement now. He says the NDC has the option of taking that decision when they assume power.
If you look at the contract very well, we did not put a contract, an expiry date. Look at it. The contract is very clear. If government of Ghana decides that we are no more interested in this contract, we'll give them 1 year notice, and that is abrogated. So at any time that any government comes, I hear that the NDC said they were going to take me to court. In the future that they ever win, that they will jail me and jail Akufo-Addo and blah blah because of this agreement. I just hope that one day when they come and they think it's not, well, they can cancel it. I don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with that. But as NPP government, we think it's a good agreement. It's helping us, and we move on. And I think that the people of Ghana have been vindicated, or at least we those who do that, they should have been vindicated by this, by the results or by the judgment that was given today. Like I said to them, anybody who thinks that it's not a good agreement has the option to stay out. We didn't want to take 10 years, 5 years, and tie anybody's hands. We just give 1 year notice. So essentially, it is a rolling agreement. It's a 1 year agreement that is rolling. That's the meaning. Okay. It means it's a 1 year agreement that is rolling. So every year you just write the next at the end of that year.
If you are willing to
January,
go forward.
December is gone.
Well, he gave this update on what the agreement has meant in reality when it comes to the U.S. military access to some of our facilities. Listen.
It was a specific request that was made, and that specific request was for an Air Force hangar that has always been reserved for the use of foreign troops. The Americans used it, the Chinese used it, the Germans used it, everybody has been using that particular. We don't use it. We normally reserve it for them. So the Americans signed an agreement with Ghana in 2015. The person who attended the signature in 2015 for that facility was Hannah Tete, the then foreign minister. She signed it. So this agreement put together all these agreements because they have series of different agreements, 98, 2000, 2001, 2015, 2014, and another one 2016. They put all this together and said, let's make one master agreement. So that particular facility you are talking about was signed off between the government of Ghana and that of the United States of America in 2015. That is the Air Force hangar we are talking about. And that is what they said, look, if you have given us this hangar in 2015 to be using for our work, then please let us have unrestricted access to it. We don't want the situation whereby when we are coming to Burma camp or we are entering into that, because you can only go to that place through Burma camp or you have to cross the tarmac, and nobody wants people to be crossing the tarmac, human beings to be crossing the tarmac. So we normally pass through Burma camp to that place. So when we come through the place, give us access, allow the Americans to guard their own facilities because we're giving it to them. That's basically what that whole thing was about. So that's what they are using now. They use it to store their equipment, they use it to store their things, they use it to store their consumables, they use it to store food, vegetables, ration for their people that they normally bring these things and supply. Remember that American soldiers are all over West Africa fighting different groups of people. Terrorists, Boko Haram, different groups of people. And people need food, people need water, people need ammunition, they need different things. And so they store this. And it's not just Ghana alone that has this kind of agreement. Different countries. I was a bit surprised that people decided to politicize it. No, Nigerians say they never politicize it. Togo, the same, they never politicize. I was a bit surprised, but that's kind of for you. Right. We'll take it like that.
So that in terms of facilities, what they have access to now is the Air Force hangar. But how many troops are here? How many American troops are here for this
Americans
agreement?
are not staying here. Like I kept saying, the Americans are not staying here. It is not. They don't stay in Ghana. I've always said it and said it several times. It's not a base where they are staying permanently.
But one of the things that the document talks about is the fact that they asked for space where they'll be able to, a base where they'll be able to do deployments, etc. Haven't we had any of that yet?
They never asked for a base to be able to deploy. Never. Look at the document there.
Well, let's speak to one of the critics of this particular agreement when it was first brought to Parliament for passage. A vehement critic of this Samuel Kudjeto Ablakwa is also the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. I'm grateful, Mr. Ablakwa, for your time here on Newsnight. So the Supreme Court has spoken. They says your case, of course, the case that went to court is unmeritorious, and I guess by extension, the criticisms that the likes of you put out there may be described in the same manner. Well, your reaction?
Well, good evening, Evans. We have taken note, and when I say we, the minority in Parliament, have taken note of the developments at the apex court of the land today. We await a full judgment pending the release of the true and certified copy of the judgment of today's proceedings. We will be rather terse with our submissions based on the judgment, considering the fact that we do not know the grounds upon which the case filed by the Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer of our party was declared unmeritorious today. Having said that, the position of the minority remains same, that our government did not negotiate in the best interest of Ghana, that our government could have negotiated better. Our position about a future review of this agreement, the Ghana-US Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, remains on the cards. This is an agreement which very eminent Ghanaians, including Ghana's longest-serving Foreign Minister, Dr. Obed Asamoah, looked at it and publicly said it was not in our national interest. It was too one-sided. This is an agreement which the respected, venerable Professor Akil Akpasoya, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, looked at this agreement and said that it was not well negotiated. It was not in our best interest. As we speak, Evans, the minority has been vindicated. The minister responsible for aviation appeared before us in Parliament this year, February this year, and he revealed that Terminal 1 of the Kotoka International Airport has been taken over by the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah,
he revealed that
what's wrong with that?
The parliamentary records, the Hansard of Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. In fact, the defense minister also just confirmed in an interview with us tonight. I mean, yes. but what is wrong with that?
Terminal 1, an airport, is handed over. And if you look at the terms of the agreement, we cannot have access. We've waived every right to even inspect what is coming in. And what is even more troubling is that our government, you know that the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement was ratified as a bilateral agreement between Ghana and the USA. Yet the aviation minister revealed to us in February this year that our government has leased Terminal 1 to a private company, McDan. And then McDan turns around to deal with the Americans, with the U.S. military. So even our government does not know what is happening between McDan, a private entity, and the U.S. military. And you go through the terms of the agreement, all kinds of material and all kinds of equipment and chemicals whatsoever can come into your territory. You have waived every right of inspection. You cannot talk to our staff, our airport staff, the immigration authorities, how they are told to just stay away. They don't know what is happening at Terminal 1. And you tell me that this is an agreement in the interest of Ghana. You think that you can go and do this? Our military, you think the Ghanaian military can go and do this in the United States of America or any other country?
It's been close
Look,
to two.
we are not
2 years. I mean, just a quick point about the initial concerns, some of which you've articulated. It's been close to 2 years since this agreement was signed. It's been enforced. The defense minister just told us tonight that they've been using the terminal and the areas that they were given to use. I mean, 2 years on, none of the fears that were expressed 2 years ago had been borne out. None. I mean, isn't that, I guess, a vindication of the government position then that this was much ado about nothing?
Evans, you are wrong. You are wrong. You are totally wrong. I just told you Terminal 1, our airport, the entire Terminal 1 has been handed over to the
that's the
U.S. military.
I mean,
you remember at the time when we raised the issue of American fiscal presence, what did they tell us? Do you recall, Evans, that government told us that there will be no fiscal presence here? That, this was just an enhanced defense cooperation. They just want us to collaborate, and everything here will reflect on the other side. Our troops can also, and it's just exchange there will be training opportunities and all of that. There will be no fiscal presence. Don't you remember that? That was what government said. President Akufo-Addo assured this nation in his address that there will be no fiscal presence. Now there is a permanent fiscal presence at Terminal 1. Go to Terminal 1. So we have rather been vindicated. The minority has been vindicated. We said from day one that if you look at the annexes to the agreement, there are clear portions of Ghana's territory that have been hived off to the Americans. Look, nobody is anti-America. Nobody seeks to jeopardize Ghana-U.S. foreign relations. As ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, it's my duty to ensure that our relations with all countries is cordial and that we continue to enhance cooperation. But it must be a win-win situation.
Yeah, but
we must never undermine our national.
The defense
interest.
minister was
President Trump talks about America first. There also can be Ghana first.
Yeah, I mean the defense minister was clear.
What is our mutual interest?
The defense minister was clear today that there hasn't been. There's no base in Ghana where this defense agreement has created a permanent presence. Yes, they use that terminal for, of course, that's where they use when they come in. It doesn't mean, as he's explained, that that's a permanent acquisition that they sort of. It's a terminal. I mean, when you use a terminal, when you are traveling in and out, that's where you use. It's dedicated for the purpose of coming in and going out. It doesn't mean that they sort of annexed it for their own exclusive use.
Evans, I would advise you to take a copy of the 19 February 2020 Hansard of Parliament. Check the proceedings. Check the responses to our questions by the Minister responsible for aviation, the Honorable Kofi Adda. He told us that they don't have access. He told us that, look, they've handed over the place. It's a lease to a private company, McDan, and McDan is in partnership with the Americans. We have washed our hands. We don't know what is happening there. Our immigration authorities have absolutely no access to what is going on over there. Take the parliamentary records. Take the Hansard. So we have been vindicated, and everybody must be worried about what is going on at our Terminal 1 that we cannot know. Our authorities, our aviation minister, sounded helpless when he appeared before us in Parliament, a public proceeding. So look, this is a matter that we will continue to pursue. We have very friendly relations with.
Sorry, when you say continue to pursue, how do you mean, legally or in Parliament? What is the nature of that?
We have stated that a future NDC government will ask for this agreement to be reconsidered. It will be reviewed. We will have another discussion about this. We don't think that what is going on at Terminal 1 with a private entity, this was a bilateral agreement, then government totally waives off its and totally gives away its rights to a private entity who then is dealing with the U.S. military. Nobody in Ghana has any idea, any clue what is going on over there. Even parliamentary oversight cannot be carried out over there. We are not even allowed to go to Terminal 1 and know what is going on there. And you tell us that this is in the national interest. We have said that this agreement will still be up for review. Any future NDC government.
Okay, I'm grateful that you joined us. I'm grateful that you joined us. That is the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Kudetua Blackwell. Now, be grateful to the President. A message from the government as it touts its successes tonight in a war against the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Mensah, at today's COVID-19 briefing, was emphatic how Ghana is one of the best performing countries in the world in the fight against the virus. Listen.
As at 4th of May, that's yesterday, U.S. has 1,035,353 cases and 55,337 died, which means that their positivity rate is about 5.34%. South Africa has 6,336 positive cases and 123 have lost their lives, which means the positivity rate 1.94%. Nigeria has 2,388 and 85 lost their lives, so positivity rate is about 3.6%. Ghana, 2,719 and 18 have lost their life. So the the mortality rate for Ghana is 0.66%, less than 1%. If you look at all the countries, Ghana's mortality rate is 0.66%. So if you look at the dynamics, it means Ghana in Africa and almost in the whole world, we have one of the lowest according to the number of tests that we have done, because we have done a lot of tests. So what it means is that in Ghana, the dynamics of the disease is quite different even from the whole of the African sub-region. And for the whole world, our dynamics is quite different. That is because of the good measures that we put in place at the initial stages from the 15th of March till date. It doesn't mean that we are out of the doom. And if you look at even the numbers that we have, those who are well and responding to treatment, out of the 2,719, 88% of those people are well and responding to treatment either in the facilities or in isolation or at home.
Well, that is the presidential advisor on health there, Dr. Mensah Asare, at the briefing today. Well, so that's official line, painting a picture of success. The Ghana Medical Association, though, believes the data so far demands an immediate changing strategy. Listen to Deputy General Secretary of the GMA, Titus Berrio, who was speaking on PM Express last night.
Definitely, I think there's a need for a change in strategy. And for me, I think that, well, I don't know in terms of the capacity, what quantities of test reagents we have. But the first recommended change in strategy I would want to see is a reorientation of our testing priorities. If it does exist, then it's not being practicalized. And when I say reorientation of testing priorities, we have lumped routine community samples, contact tracing samples, with hospital-based samples and healthcare worker samples. So that it takes 12 days for you to get the results of healthcare workers when a department is closed down. I think that must change ASAP. All health worker samples, inpatient samples, just as he mentioned, that we need results to make a critical decision right from the pre-analytical stage. Sample processing, collection, their labeling and everything should be prioritized. And for patients who are ill and we need to take a decision, we will want to see these results out as early as possible. I understand the various stages he talked about and the fact that you cannot hurry it to make errors. But there are a few things when you see, it begs of the question whether there are no post-analytical delays that can be reduced. And I cited an example for you where a regional coordinating council will hold a press conference, announce that the certified results we have received from the lab show that our number is X. And on the Ghana Health Service platform, the number is still Y. And it remains Y for 4 days. That definitely cannot be a laboratory issue. It will be something that will be a post-analytical issue. And I think that date can be shortened. Now, going forward, if we want to change strategy, I think that change in strategy he has suggested will be very helpful, especially if we are beginning to run out of kits. We should prioritize our testing and test the people that we really have to get their report. But I also think that the next strategy we have to adopt is enhanced education. We have to change the narrative. Our current model of education has put in so much fear in people, and even though the virus is not giving us the figures of mortality like what we are seeing in Europe and other places, the fear we have put in our population has come along with a stigma. And I think the stigma is the next big thing that we must tackle.
So that is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Titus Berrio. They still have concerns and proposing a changing strategy. And he spelled out areas that must change if we have to win the war against the coronavirus. You've heard the official line also, pitching Ghana as one of the best performing in the world when it comes to what we are doing in the fight against COVID-19. I want to bring in virologist and researcher with the KCCR, the testing center there at the Kompanoche Teaching Hospital, Dr. Michael Owusu. Thank you, sir, for your time. So based on the data that you've seen, and I've heard the Dr. Mensah Asare mentioned a few of the indicators, the positivity rate, the mortality, the rate of infections, etc. Would you agree when he puts Ghana within the context of global comparison? He says we are one of the best performing countries in this fight against COVID-19.
Yeah, Evans, good evening to your listeners. So I will agree because if you look at the countries in Africa, Ghana is ranking high in terms of testing. We've done so well in terms of testing per million population, and we seem to rank next after South Africa. And this is because of our unique testing strategy and also for innovations adopted in the early stage of the testing, which enabled us to maximize our capacity. So, I mean, as we always say, there is inverse relationship between mortality and testing. The more you test, the greater your chances of breaking the transmission cycle of the virus, and the higher the chances of you, reducing mortality and morbidity, and also recording high number of infections. So, of course, I agree that we have done so well. Looking at a country like Burkina Faso, which has not even gotten to 1,000, but the deaths is almost over 40. Their prevalence is getting to close to 6%, and we are doing under 1%. So, looking at it in Africa, I think that we have done so well.
Okay. Now, we had the GMA propose a changing strategy. I know you also believe that strategy must change based on some of the indicators you're watching. Specifically, what changes are you proposing in the strategy?
Yes, I agree with the titles on the change in strategy. And if you just to take you through, so the disease is classified into 4 levels by the WHO. One is no cases, where you have a country without any cases. We have moved beyond that. And then you go to sporadic cases, where you have countries with 1 or more cases, or imported or locally detected. We have also moved beyond that. Then we have clusters of cases, when you have a country experiencing clusters related in time, geographic location, and common exposure. We have also moved beyond that. But then we are entering into the phase of community transmission. If you look at the data so far, you can see that in Accra, which has close to 2,032, the level of community transmission in Accra seems to be wider and larger, and next followed by Ashanti region, and then followed by the Eastern region. So the African CDC have classified this into further 4 levels. So a place like Accra, for instance, if you look at the criteria for the African CDC, you want to place it in phase 4. In phase 4, the objective is to reduce mortality among severely ill people. So what you do in phase 4 is ideally you want to halt, or if possible, reduce contact tracing and channel most of your resources to hospital admissions and differential diagnosis. You investigate more of health workers, and then you look at people who have influenza-like illness. Now, if you are in phase 4, you assume that there is wide community transmission, and there's a possible generation of transmission chains which are not linked to cases within your hotspots. What will happen is that everybody you see outside on the street is a potential case who could have it, but this could be asymptomatic. But then most of the people who go to the hospitals who are likely to be sick, these are people that a lot of resources must be channeled to, and a lot of testing has to be done for these people. Because the more they get sick, the more the chances that they will get severely ill, and they will demand going to the ICU, and the higher the chance that they may die of this disease. So they will become the first vulnerable populations to look at. So that if you have a balance in this, it means that you don't want to channel more testing to the population or for contact tracing, but you want to channel more testing for the hospital setting. The next important group is the health workers who are living in this locality, especially in Accra, because the health workers could serve as reservoir for quick transmission and nosocomial transmission of the virus within the healthcare setting, especially when you have a lot of cancer patients, people who have HIV, people who have cardiovascular illness and diabetes on admission. If you have 1 or 2 health workers who have this disease and they begin to transmit within the circles of the hospital, you are likely to have high mortality levels, which will be recorded. So as your community case begin to mount up, you want to look closely at the health workers and screen them at random at any time. So you can pick up those who are positive, you can isolate them, and you can reduce the possible nosocomial transmission of the virus within the healthcare setting. So the surveillance strategy in Accra should be different from what is done in Kumasi. Kumasi will be in phase 3, and then places like Eastern region and other places could be in phase 2. So each of the regions' strategy must be different so that you'll be able to maximize testing capacity. And the point is that the testing we have done so far, which is based on the innovation from Noguchi for the pooling, which enable us to do more testing, is based on the prevalence of the virus. If the prevalence is low, you can pool and be able to test more. But as the prevalence goes higher, you cannot pool anymore. It means you have to be doing on individual cases. And therefore, if you have more of the community coming in and more of the hospital coming in, it's difficult to balance the two. And there's likely to be a delay in cases you report to the hospital. And these are the most essential groups you want to target, because the more you delay the hospital cases, the higher the chance of recording mortality. So I think that the strategy for Accra especially would be to begin to reduce, or if possible, halt contact the community set, channel more resources to the healthcare facilities, begin to test those who have illness, those who present with severe respiratory disease, healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, lab scientists, and all other people who come with many illnesses, and then begin to rule out COVID-19 and give them results as quickly as possible so that they can manage those severe illness and then be able to reduce mortality and then be able to at least get the prevalence still below 1%. So I agree that this is what we should be looking at.
I'm grateful. That's Dr. Michael Owusu there. So listen to Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Late on Spotlight.
I'm just trying to be myself. I just want to stay original. I spit in my own language. People think I'm limited. I don't believe that. I'm heading straight to the Grammys. Take it or leave it. So bid it.
We shine a light on multiple award-winning rapper Sarkodie, who has risen to world acclaim with his music and staying relevant for more than a decade. Huh? Let's do business now. And Charles, you know, how about you?
I have no idea.
How about here? Thank you.
Okay,
this is business. You should know.
Yeah,
you know.
Anyway.
But do you know who that person is? What am I talking about?
I have no idea.
You don't know who that person is?
The 10K guy.
Yeah. No. Or the person. Okay, the person whose song I just played.
That's Sarkodie.
Yeah.
Sarkodie.
Yeah, Sarkodie is the one.
You know, he's a great guy. He's doing great things. So.
Now that you know, what do you have in the headlines?
Anyway, so coming up in business, major industries in Ghana make a case for government to include them in stimulus package. More from the Joy Business Industrialization Roundtable. And First National Bank Ghana complete 100% acquisition of Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing, GHL Bank. Business on News 90 is brought to you by MT, and welcome to a new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, and a one-stop shop for all office essential. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
When you want it, just Momo it. When you tire for the long queue in the supermarket, just Momo it. And when you really want that beautiful new blouse too, just Momo it. And when you won't get that, when you go get fresh to impress, you know who, just Momo it. And when you need to pay that your utility bill and domestic staff set, just Momo it. And when you want send love to the family for back home, just Momo it. So many ways there. When you go use your MTN Momo wallet, make payments with scan to pay. When you go use the QR code, or you go use the merchant ID, or on bank POS terminal. You go also transfer money between mobile money wallet and bank account, all on MTN Momo. Enjoy real convenience in all your financial transactions and live life the brighter way with MTN Momo. We are good together. Just Momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
DSTV a young papa and noontin a yet time machine, and we thank you for choosing to stay at home and save with us. Yet time machine, ain't a yamamo discount when you top up your DSTV subscription. And you crowd with kids educational channels like Mensah, Da Vinci, and the Ghana Learning Channel, as well as loads of kids entertainment and up-to-the-minute news updates on all the happenings across the world and home. Plus our captivating local and international drama, thrilling series and movies, all in one place. To get your discount, just top up your same or preferred subscription using MTN Momo, Vodacash, Slide Pay, Express Pay, eTransact, or your banking app, or SMS *389*5# and *759# and we will upgrade you to the next package at no extra cost. Yes, that's easy. Onyankupadie and Noani DSTV. DSTV, yet time machine.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Blue Sensationary. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Blue Sensationary.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Everyone needs a partner who will be there through the good times and tough times. We are that partner, and we appreciate your loyalty. At GoTV, we always have your back. That's why we're giving you a free upgrade on your next package. Simply stay connected and get upgraded to the next higher package at no cost. Annual upgrade at no cost. Stay home, stay safe, and stay remotely connected with MTN Momo, Vodafone Cash, Slide Pay, Express Pay, eTransact, or your banking application, or *389*5# and *759#, and we will connect you with non-stop family mix entertainment on BET, Africa Magic Family, Rock 2 and 3, Telemundo, News, Trace Jama, and an array of kids learning and fun channels to wow you. Thank you for being our loyal partner. Stay entertained. GoTV's got your back.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
And you're welcome to Business on Newsnight. Manufacturing and export firms operating in Ghana have called on government to come up with a strategy to support the operations. Speaking at the industrialization roundtable organized by Joy Business, Director of Blue Skies West Africa, Ruth Ejay, as well as Deputy Managing Director of Casa Preco, Michael Ifa, argued that challenges faced major industries need to be addressed quickly.
The challenges, it's not just Ghana, it's a global thing. And it's very difficult to just plan in Ghana and say that we are okay because Ghana is out of the lockdown. It's the ramifications from other countries that makes that impact more severe. So the government's support should go beyond just the cuts. Of course, I mean, if you are looking at only the two places, paying salaries and financing debt, and then we have a problem. And it's not just about the 10 pointers, as we are all aware. It's about what you have that you make it sustainable. Then you move forward.
My point is that we need support in tax reliefs, in interest rates, and all that. But I think that there must be a deliberate plan, strategy, to ensure that businesses stay afloat. We need to create big and large companies in this country. Once you create these big, large companies, for instance, we may not get into, Casapreco may not get into production of PET bottles. We get another company could be set up to get into that, and we'll feed off the big companies.
And you heard the first West Africa Director for Blue Skies, Ruth Ejay, as well as Deputy Managing Director of Casa Preco, Michael Lefa, who both spoke at the Joy Business Industrialization Roundtable under the theme, On the Runway to Industrialization, will COVID-19 provide the catalyst? Away from that, First National Bank Ghana has announced the completion of the processes to acquire 100% stake in GHL Bank Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing effective Tuesday, May 5. The transaction, which has been approved by the Bank of Ghana and the boards of both banks, officially makes GHL Bank a subsidiary of First National Bank. In a statement copied to Joy Business, Chief Executive of First National Bank, Richard Hudson, said, quote, "Plans are well underway to merge the operations of the two banks. We recognize that the economy is under a lot of pressure as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we remain excited about the future of banking in Ghana," unquote. Away from that particular story, Managing Director of Republic Bank, Farid Anta, says the bank will ensure prudent spending of funds aimed at helping the fight against COVID-19. The bank has so far donated 2 ventilators worth 240,000 cedis to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, with the latest donations being to the construction of a COVID-19 treatment center at the Ga East Hospital, where the bank donated 200,000 cedis. Speaking to Joy Business, MD of Republic Bank, Farid Anta, revealed how prepared the bank is to help and stop the spread of the virus.
We have identified several key contributions, and this one to the private sector fund, specifically for this facility, the Infectious Disease Treatment Center, is one that we see as an ideal fit. But nonetheless, I think in line with your thinking is how our funds were utilized. So apart from very specific needs, for example, at the Ridge Hospital, the 2 ventilators that would serve long-term for other needs, we also key facilities, and there was always the challenge about, yes, PPE is important.
That's the Managing Director of Republic Bank, Farid Anta. Just before we leave, in other stories, the Bank of Ghana has established a new fintech and innovation office to drive the bank's cash-light, e-payment and digitization agenda. This new office will be responsible for licensing and overseeing transactions of mobile money operators, payment service providers, closed-loop payment products, payment support solutions, and other emerging forms of electronic payments delivered by non-bank entities. The office will also develop policies to promote fintech, innovation, and interoperability in Ghana. That ends business on News9.
Charles, thank you very much. Let's do sports now, Benedict.
Yes, Evans. Now, the Ghana Football Association are in talks with government on the best decision to take regarding the strategies they intend to apply to finalize their competitions, be it the Ghana Premier League, the Division 1, as well as the Women's League. Now, the CAF, the Confederation of African Football, that's CAF, asked the FA as well as other member associations to report on what they intend to do by close of day today. Henry Asante is Communications Director of the FA, and he tells Joy Sports they are still in consultation with the necessary bodies to look at the best decision to take.
The communique that came from CAF was not instructive. It wasn't binding. CAF said, we would appreciate if you get back to us by 5th May. That means we can send a situational report to CAF, give them an update as to what is currently happening in Ghana, because you remember that when FIFA President Gianni Infantino spoke to the football world about 3 weeks ago, he mentioned that we should respect local protocols and deal with our respective governments. So as we speak, the Ghana Football Association has been in dialogue with the government of Ghana. We have constantly held meetings with the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service. We want to respect their advice, we want to respect their directives, so it will be difficult for us to do something that is not, that is directly opposite to what they have been telling us.
That's Communications Director of the Football Association, Henry Asante Chim. So talk of cancellation, suspension, and other adjectives you can use to describe whatever the other African countries are doing with respect to their league in this coronavirus period. Well, Congo, their 2019-20 league season has been concluded, and they've declared AS Otoho Doyo, that's the name, Otoho Doyo, as their champion.
Is it Otoyo Doyo or
Otoho Doyo? They actually opened a 14-point lead at the top with only 4 games to end the season. Well, it makes sense. I mean, with just 4 games to end the season, it's not like that of England where Liverpool leading with 25 points, but still got some games to go. But that, they definitely will return and finish it up because of.
We cancelled the season. You have to play it afresh.
Oh please,
next season.
Which season should be cancelled? No, they are not doing that. Now, Barcelona players will be tested for COVID-19 at the club's training ground on Wednesday before resuming individual work in the coming days. La Liga teams have been given permission to return to training this week following the easing of some restrictions by the government. Also, Aston Villa, second bottom in the Premier League, says they are ready and keen to restart the English Premier League when it is right to do so. So, yeah, and that's contrary to your view.
I was hearing on BBC today that it's possibly the Premier League might come back on the 15th of June.
So. They are looking at 15th of June.
I can't wait, actually.
But the Bundesliga is coming back.
Yes, I think it's on the 15th of May.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's somewhere next week.
Maybe we'll get some football to watch.
But that will be closed doors. So
no problem. Well, I mean, we'll put there. You see, when you're playing football, when you're doing commentary in the studio, you lace the noise in the background.
Watching on TV behind closed doors is like watching a training ground,
I know. It's not. That's what I'm saying. We just put the noise of the stadium in the background.
That's the stadium effect.
Exactly. That's all you need. When it's calling, you raise it.
It will sound good.
Sound good. Yeah.
At least we'll get something.
That's all.
Not bad.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now, government has tonight handed out a 3 billion CD bailout facility to the hospitality industry players, as well as the small and medium enterprises following massive layoffs in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It comes as thousands of employees in the industry, including hotels, were sent home in March and won't be paid salaries for April. While at the meeting with the president at the Jubilee House a while ago, president of the Ghana Tourism Federation, Bella Ayeyi, made a case for government to support the industry.
We humbly ask that a percentage of the 600 million, if not more than that, the whole thing, because we are the worst hit. And within that, we are humbly appealing if there could be a grant component for our industry. We know how fatherly you are, how you listen to us, and we are trusting that this shall be heard. Again, after the COVID-19, industry players, we need to build our capacity beyond what we have now.
Well, President Akufo-Addo was hopeful the bailout will help to turn around the fortunes of the companies.
Apart from this 600 million fund for SMEs, there are also two other sources of money that are being specifically directed at you, amongst others, but you are an important part of it. The commercial banks have agreed with the Minister of Finance and the Bank of Ghana to raise some 3 billion cedis by way of loans that they're going to give specific industries. The hospitality sector is one of them. And the Bank of Ghana, again with the support of the Minister of Finance, has worked towards reducing interest rates and even putting in place a moratorium on the payment of principal and I believe of interest on monies. So there's a package there also that is available and accessible to you. There's a subsequent package that is also being currently negotiated between the Ministry and the Bank of Ghana for a much larger sum of money to be pumped into the economy to support and empower the more productive sectors of the economy. And once again, the hospitality sector is one of them. So this, I don't think you should make too much of a fetish of this 600 million cedis. It's not the only sum of money that is going to be available to you for the recovery.
Well, that's the president there speaking today when he met players in the hospitality industry. Well, he broke out onto the scene with something different, the fusion of his mother tongue and English language to create music that appeals to all manner of persons. If you don't know him, Sarkodie has since risen to world acclaim with dozens of his songs and playing shows home and abroad. Today on the Spotlight, we present to you the man also referred to as Ha Bakope. 10K. Listen.
When then underground rapper Michael Owusu-Addo, better known as Sarkodie, made an appearance on Adom FM's popular rap competition, Kasahari Level, I'm sure he dreamed of a day like this, when he would rise to world acclaim, arguably Ghana's biggest music export.
I think I'm on course. Exactly what my thoughts tell me. I've not proven myself wrong yet. I like almost everything that's happened.
The last thing we won't be attention. The whole of Africa be me with the dimension.
Today, the rapper has graced several local and international stages with his music, largely staying true to a style many young singers and rappers aspire to have.
I'm just trying to be myself. I just want to stay original. I spit in my own language. People think I'm limited. I don't believe that. I'm heading straight to the Grammys. Take it or leave it. It's a biddy.
With 5 albums to his name and an elite array of singles, Sarkodie has arrived. He has come to stay, and no wonder anything he touches turns into gold. From politics to development, love to everyday issues, the award-winning rapper has a hang on it.
I want to say a big thank you to the Almighty God, to my family. This one is for my little girl, TT. Daddy loves you. A shout to Akon. I see you. Akon saw the dream. I think Africa has always had it, and it's about that time.
And as music rivalries go, King Sark has also had lyrical wars, if you like, with Manifest, Shatta Wale and the like, and more recently.
I think you got.
But maybe this one with Shatta Wale goes beyond just a lyrical banter.
If being poor be like me, then Father, I beg you just bless me with poverty.
And while we still wait for the two to get back to being friends again, COVID-19 says no way. King Sark is one of a host of Ghanaian celebrities stuck out there as Ghana's borders remain shut and the world battles the virus.
I'm perfectly fine, but I'm still stuck here in the States. I really do miss home. But as much as I miss home, I totally understand these measures taken to control the pandemic.
But, like Reporters Without Borders, far away in Washington, D.C., Michael Owusu-Addo is still thrilling fans. And no, he's taking us back to the days of Azonto. And guess what? By hooking millions.
That's Sarkodie for you, by the way. And that report was filed by my colleague Komla Dome. On that spotlight note, my name is Mensah. I'm going to leave you with one of the original songs from Sarkodie. That song is called Original, by the way. Enjoy.
People think I'm limited.